The dark judgment of fallen angels, creation's start and the fall of the corrupted. In the beginning, there was darkness. Then came the light, but with it came whispers dark, haunting whispers that slipped through the cracks of creation like a chill down your spine. Every corner of the cosmos vibrated with the secrets held by the fallen angels, those who dared to defy the very fabric of heaven. It was said that their gaze could melt steel, their touch could warp reality, and their sorrow echoed like thunder in the silence of the void. With each heartbeat, the universe trembled, bearing witness to the forbidden dance of power, betrayal, and corruption. Eons ago, before time itself had a name, two realms existed: light and shadow. Light shimmered with hope, while shadow clung to despair. In this perpetual struggle, one angel, once radiant and proud, found herself standing at the precipice, her wings a kaleidoscope of colors now dimmed and stained with the weight of forbidden knowledge. She took a step forward, and fell. Her scream shattered the peace of the cosmos, reverberating as a weighted silence fell over the stars. Was she alone in her descent? Shadows shifted, waiting with bated breath, eyes watching from the abyss. Each breath shaped by malevolence, hope clutched in a fragile grip, but as shadows darkened, a flicker of light emerged. An ancient prophecy whispered through the celestial fabric, one of redemption, maybe even salvation. The air crackled with potential, and the temple of forgotten gods groaned under the pressure of cosmic fate. Just when it seemed an answer beckoned, the winds turned savage, howling chaos through the caverns of existence. The captivating tug of fate pulled at the heartstrings of the cosmos. Would they pay the ultimate price for their defiance? The tension twisted like a noose around the very stars, sparking curiosity deeper than the abyss itself. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. From the depths of darkness awaited the harbinger of chaos. Would she rise again, reborn from the ashes of despair, or would she be lost forever in the shadows she once ruled? As the moon cast eerie shadows over the heavens, gazes fixed and hearts pounding, the question hung in the air, the answer spiraling into the unknown. The inevitable reckoning set the stage where every choice echoes in eternity, and every heart ticks with dread, waiting for the judgment of fallen angels. What lies on the other side of redemption and revenge? The winds howled with a ferocious urgency, stirring up fragments of uncertainty that swirled like a tempest around the fallen angel. She drifted, suspended between realms, thoughts racing through her mind like 1,000 shooting stars colliding. Would she embrace this darkness or fight against it? Her heart thudded violently as shadows whispered sweet promises of power, urging her to dive deeper into the abyss. The atmosphere crackled, electricity pulsating with every tear of her soul. In that moment of vulnerability, she was no longer just a fallen angel, she was a canvas for the darkness to paint its twisted masterpiece. Each pulse of the void wrapped around her like a suffocating embrace, and fear clenched her chest as she sensed the presence of others lurking in the shadows, watching and waiting. These were no ordinary souls. They were the forsaken, rebels basking in their own corruption. With eyes like burning coals, they sought to tether her to their world, a seductive plea that teetered on the edge of insanity. How easy it would be to succumb to their call. To let go of the remnants of her past, to embrace power unrestrained. What a splendid, intoxicating delusion. But then, a flicker of memory pierced through the haze. The faces of those she once loved, their laughter echoing in the chambers of her heart, pulled her back from the brink. Not yet. She whispered, resolute. There was a strength there, a flicker of light that kindled hope against the shadows. As she struggled, confronting both the allure of annihilation and the haunting echoes of her previous life, the chaos intensified, whispers of blanketing darkness transforming into screams. Betrayer! A voice resonated from the depths, cold and commanding. The others recoiled slightly, eyes narrowing as they faced this specter of authority. It belonged to one of the fallen, a formidable leader who had forsaken his own light. His presence rolled over them like a tidal wave of dread. You dare resist your destiny? Their eyes locked. It was a challenge, an electrifying duel of wills. She felt the heat of his gaze sear through her and grasped at the frayed strings of her essence. In that heart-stopping moment, she was rendered aware of a choice, to flee into the comfort of the darkness or to transform her anguish into a weapon against it. Suddenly, a tempest of energy ignited within her, a violent wave bursting forth from her core. Color exploded within her shattered wings, illuminating the very air around as she let loose her despair. I will not join you. With each word, the air trembled, the cosmos bending to her will. It was defiance roared against despair, and all eyes were drawn. Expectation crackled, and a hush fell, waiting for the inevitable battle. The other fallen angels stirred uneasily, retreating slightly, shadows thickening and swirling like a storm. They were intrigued, yet uncertain. What power surged from this lost angel? Had she found a path to reclaim her light, or would she plunge them all into darkness? As the first sparks of conflict lit up the sacred heavens, the leader drew closer, his face twisted with a mixture of admiration and rage. Then we shall see, dear sister. The shadows are ravenous and restless. Your rebellion is but a flicker in the night. With those lingering words, the battle began, rippling through the fabric of reality itself. Every strike thrown, every wing unfurled was a reminder that their actions would echo through eternity. What price would they pay for this storm of chaos? And in the heart of this clash, would redemption shine brighter than despair, or would hope extinguish like a dying ember? As the stars bore witness to this celestial struggle, the foundations of both realms trembled, questioning whether light could ever conquer the eternal pull of shadow. Color erupted around them, a surreal clash of brilliance against the encroaching darkness. The fallen angel felt the energy whirl and twist, a tangible force that wrapped around her like tendrils of lightning, chasing away the last remnants of doubt. She saw the leader's sneer morph into focused fury as he raised a hand, a dark gesture slicing through the stormy air. In an instant, shadowy warriors sprang from behind him, their forms shifting and indistinct. They charged with a primal roar, echoes of anger and desire coursing through their ranks. The fallen angel braced herself. I will not back down. She shouted, her voice rising over the chaos, rich with defiance. The first blows rained down, blades of darkness cutting through the light that surrounded her like a cold embrace. She countered, swinging her newly ignited power outward, fierce and beautiful. Pulses of energy exploded from her, creating a barrier that momentarily halted the oncoming tide. A flash of shock lit the leader's eyes, and for just a heartbeat, she could taste the taste of victory, but the respite was short-lived. The shadows regrouped, their relentless advance forged from malice and despair. Cower not behind flickering flames. The leader yelled, his voice laced with venom. The shadows will always find a way. Drawing from deep within, she unleashed a shockwave of shimmering light, propelling the nearest attackers backward. They crashed into the other fallen, sending them sprawling. A moment of clarity washed over her. If she could unite this flicker of hope with the power of love that still burned within her, perhaps they could turn the tide. Together. She cried, her voice cutting through the din, a beacon flickering amidst a storm. We can fight this darkness. We can reclaim what we once had. Her heart raced as she looked into the eyes of those around her, sparks of recognition igniting. Some of the forsaken hesitated, their interest piqued by the audacity of her call. Fleeting flickers of their past lives ignited inside them longing and inner light wrestling with the shadows that sought to consume them. But the leader would not be persuaded. With a howl of rage, he surged forward, dark energy swirling violently around him. You dare to hope. You will burn brighter only to extinguish faster. That moment shredded the air, time stretching thin as the two forces collided. The very fabric of reality rippled, becoming a battleground of choice and consequence. Extended sharp pain ricocheted through her, a visceral reminder of the cost of standing against this tide. Suddenly, a blinding light erupted from her heart, cascading outwards, merging with the energies of those who wavered in uncertainty. It created a radiant shield, a shimmering barrier that cast away the darkness for a brief moment. Gasps echoed around her as they felt the warmth, the connection of shared hope igniting in the hearts of those who dared to stand beside her, but the respite was fragile. The fallen leader recoiled, and eyes of coal-black hatred now focused back on her. "You will regret this choice, sister. The shadows know every fear, every secret. They will tear you apart." The light flickered and faltered as the shadowy horde surged forward, sensing vulnerability. "Fight!" She urged everyone around her, hands trembling but determined, yet, realization dawned bitterly as she felt the shadows begin to crack her shield. A sudden weight of dread gripped her. How much longer could they hold against such overwhelming darkness? With a piercing scream, she knew one truth: the battle had only just begun, and the true reckoning of their very souls still lay ahead. What sacrifice would be demanded to silence the shadows? Would her light endure, or would she ultimately fall prey to the timeless darkness that beckoned? As every soul held its breath, the true test of will and faith unfolded before them. The shadows lunged forward, swarming around her like a vengeful tide. She felt their chilling presence brush against her skin, gnawing at the warmth of her radiant shield. Heart pounding, she clutched her power, pouring every ounce of her being into the glow surrounding her. But doubt began to creep in, knotting in her stomach like a heavy stone. Could they really fend off this darkness? "Stand firm!" she barked, though her own voice trembled. The others rallied, adrenaline kicking in. She watched as a few of the fallen stepped forward, hesitantly lifting their hands, finding strength in the mingled light. For each soul that took a stand beside her, a shimmer of determination sparked anew, spreading like wildfire. But it wasn't enough. As the leader unleashed more of his dark energy, it pulsed through the ranks of shadowy figures. Their twisted forms grew larger and more defined, charged with a darkness that hissed and slithered as it crept closer. "Wretched souls," he snarled, his voice like gravel. "Your hope is a flicker in the abyss. I will snuff it out." A chorus of anguished cries rang out around her, sending a shiver down her spine. She witnessed the shadows lash out, tearing at the brave ones who had begun to fight back. The fallen wavered, fear seeping back into their hearts. Her light flickered again, as if sensing their faltering resolve. "Remember who you were," she cried, desperation clawing at her throat. "We have known love. We have known light. That is our power." A moment hung in the air, thick with anticipation. Then, sparks ignited in her comrades' eyes. Their resolve solidified, intertwining with her own renewed strength. The light swelled around them, creating a halo that defied the encroaching darkness. But just as hope surged, a rumble of unholy laughter echoed through the storm. "You can't escape your past," the leader roared. Suddenly, tendrils of shadow lashed out, piercing the barrier like knives. A violent explosion of energy erupted, sending the fallen angel sprawling backward. Pain shot through her side, the bitter taste of blood filling her mouth. Gasping for breath, she lifted her gaze. The shadows swallowed the air around her, cutting off her escape. The laughter grew louder, reverberating through her bones as if mocking her every breath. "You wish to reclaim what was lost," he sneered. "But you cannot escape judgment. Every wrong you've done shall be laid bare." A vision flashed through her mind, memories of choices made, of anguish inflicted. Faces of strangers, friends, all the lives touched by her actions, good and bad. Were these shadows woven from her own regrets? Was this darkness calling forth her deepest fears? "No!" she shouted, rising again with fire in her heart. "I refuse to let my past drown me. We have the power to change. We can choose to fight together." She reached out, feeling the flickering lights of her allies alongside her. With every ounce of that shared light, she poured all she had into a new wave of energy. The brilliance shone brighter than ever, a star erupting against the night, but the shadows, relentless, pushed against her. It was not merely her fight anymore, every soul here was intertwined in this battle. She could feel their pain, their fears, mingling with her own. "Do not give in," she shouted, the words spilling from her lips like a chant. "We are not just the sum of our mistakes. We are defined by what we choose to do next." The reality around them pulsed, the very air thrumming. She felt an unseen force changing the tide and her pulse quickened. But would it be enough? As the darkness surged, a chilling whisper crept up beside her ear. "You can't save them and you can't save yourself. A choice will soon be made." With each heartbeat, the shadows crept closer, as choices loomed heavy with consequences. What would it take to break this cycle? Would her light bend to their despair, or would it burn brighter against the darkness? In this vast struggle, she could feel the weight of fate upon them, and only time would reveal if they could rise from the ashes or be consumed by the very shadows they fought against. The air thickened like a storm cloud, and the darkness felt almost tangible. As she gathered her strength, the flickering lights of her allies struggled against the suffocating gloom. The shadows were relentless, pressing in with a weight that felt as if it could crush not just bones but spirit. "Together," she urged, but her voice quaked under the encroaching dread. Panic flashed in the eyes of her comrades, the shadows feeding off that fear. She felt it, too, churning uncertainty that made her stomach churn. Were they strong enough to withstand this onslaught? Suddenly, the leader of the shadows slammed his hands down, creating a fissure of dark energy that coiled like a serpent. It snaked across the ground directly toward her, leaving a trail of blighted earth. Gasps filled the air as the fallen watched in horror, aware that their decision to fight could lead to their demise. "Light breeds only more darkness," he spat, his eyes gleaming with sadistic pleasure. "You claim to have known love, yet look around you. What do you see?" His words sliced through the resolve she had worked so hard to build. Faces emerged from the depths of the shadows, faces she recognized. Friends lost, innocents harmed, and they all wore the expressions of betrayal. They pointed accusingly, their silent screams clawing at her mind. Was this the cost of their past? No. She screamed, clutching at her heart as the vision deepened. "This isn't who I am." Suddenly, she felt a surge of warmth beside her. The gentle glow of a fallen angel reached out, intertwining with her own light. It was one of her closest allies, a flickering beacon of hope amidst the rising panic. "We are not our past. We can choose a different future," he cried, determined expression anchoring her soul to the present. As if feeding off their combined determination, the light swelled like a wave. A dazzling flare erupted outward, pushing back the shadows. But they seemed unfazed. No, more than that, the darkness recoiled before the light, only to return with greater fury. It was like they were trapped in a nightmare, fighting against the tide that always threatened to drown them. The ground quaked beneath them. Each tremor felt like a countdown ticking closer to oblivion. "The longer we hold back, the more you lose," the leader mocked, his shadowy tendrils swirling menacingly. "Soon, your light will extinguish, and I will harvest your souls one by one." "No," she shouted, tears of frustration and determination blurring her vision. She thought of every moment that had led her here, of every soul she wanted to save. They were not merely shadows, they were friends, family. She would not fail them now. Gathering her courage, she closed her eyes and focused on the warm glow coursing through her. "We will not be defined by our fears," she roared, pulling on every spark of light around her. But the leader laughed once more, deep and resonant, like thunder. "Foolish girl. Your resolve will mean nothing here. Your choices are your shackles." A dizzying whirl of energy enveloped them, and she felt the fabric of reality begin to unravel. A choice lay before her, a split-second, chilling decision that could tip the balance. And suddenly, the air went stale. The shadows lunged, swallowing her voice, her resolve, her very essence. What would she sacrifice to protect the light? As darkness descended, a distant flicker in her mind played at the edges of her thoughts. The weight of the void pressed against her as she realized she could not hold on forever. Echoed words whispered, soft yet eerie, in the depths of despair, can you forge a new destiny? The clash of light and shadow raged on, a tempest poised to reshape everything. Would they finally succumb, or could the bonds of their past forge something new and powerful? The choice loomed like a specter, waiting only for her breath to solidify it. Tension electrified the air, feeding off her mounting fright. Darkness coiled around her, a tightening noose that threatened to snuff out the last remnants of her light. She felt the shadows gnawing at her resolve, probing for cracks in her spirit. She could almost hear their whispers, a sinister melody that promised release from pain if she'd only abandon the fight, but then, the warmth of her ally surged against her, a lifebuoy in an ocean of despair. Hold on, he urged, voice steady despite the chaos swirling around them. We can do this together. We are stronger than this darkness. The cascade of hope reignited her heart. She couldn't shatter now, they had come too far. Memories of laughter, shared dreams, the light of friendship danced in her mind. Those special moments fused into a shield. This was the essence of who she was, of who they all were. It wasn't just the fight for survival anymore, it was a fight for every flicker of joy eclipsed by shadow. With that fire ignited, she took a shuddering breath. No more fear, she shouted, launching her will outward like a comet blazing across the night sky. She felt the vibrant pulse of light urging her on, coalescing with her allies. Together, they unraveled the shadows with each shared heartbeat, a symphony against the drumming darkness, but the leader of the shadows was relentless. You think your trivial light can outshine my power? He thundered, sarcasm dripping from his voice. The ground shook violently, sending ripples through their formation. Your love is your weakness. I will savor every moment of your pain. The shadows lunged again, chaos unfurling before them like a monstrous wave intent upon drowning them. In that instant, seconds felt like hours. She locked eyes with each of her comrades, courage reflected in their frantic gazes. There was no time for hesitation, this was their moment to pierce through the void. Channel everything, she screamed, arms outstretched. Our memories. Our love. Let it ignite the darkness. A resonate pulse reverberated as they anchored their hearts in unison. Strings of light flickered to life around them, blossoming like wildflowers piercing through concrete. The beautiful warmth spiraled outward, pushing against the encroaching shadows, shoving back the tendrils clawing for their souls. The leader's laughter faltered for a moment. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across his shadowy visage. No, this can't be. But she didn't falter. We are not alone, she challenged, feeling strength flow within her bones. The flickering light began to entwine with deep-rooted memories, not just of past losses but of victories, of cherished moments that had defined them all. It burst forth like a supernova, blinding and powerful, flooding the darkness with stark illumination. She gasped as shadows shrieked and recoiled in agony, their forms flickering like false flames. For the first time in ages, hope surged through her veins, propelling her forward. We can forge a new destiny, she yelled, conviction washing over her. But beneath that euphoria lay a thundering doubt. Could they truly overcome this dark specter, or was it merely a brief respite before their inevitable demise? The leader howled, the shadows writhing in frantic agony as the tide of warmth surged forward. You think you can best me? I will return. This is not the end. But the air crackled with energy, charged and alive. Suddenly, a vision burst forth, a flicker of silver light, a face she had thought lost, seen only in her dreams. Her mentor. Remember who you are, he uttered, and then darkness consumed him, panic surged, terror gripping her heart. No. Come back. He leans too close to the darkness, the chilling words taunted. He was never truly lost. But this was war, and each breath pulled her deeper into the vortex of struggle and fear. It felt as if the fabric of reality itself was stitched by their desperation and uncertainty. Behind her, she sensed something shifting, more shadows than before. Would the remnants of what she once fought be enough? The battle raged on, the clamor of desperation escalating in her mind. Was she destined to fail? As chaos swirled around them, the shadows circled like predators, waiting for a moment of vulnerability. Would they push through together, or would betrayal become a bitter reminder of all that had been sacrificed? One breath to define it all, one heartbeat away from salvation or loss. The shadows writhed like serpents, coiling tighter, threatening to envelop any flicker of light left. The air thrummed with tension as her heart raced. How could they face this monstrous tide? The ominous laughter of the leader echoed in her ears, blending with the haunting pulse of darkness swirling around them. Together. Her ally shouted, his voice slicing through the confusion. She turned to him, the urgency in his eyes fueling her own courage. They couldn't afford to falter now, not with everything at stake. Fueled by adrenaline, she summoned the warmth of their shared memories, praying it would be enough. We share each light, each laugh. We share our strengths. She proclaimed, feeling energy pulse outward, a surge of undeniable hope. As they fought against the encroaching abyss, she felt the tether between their hearts stretching, almost breaking, but it held firm. The shadows lunged, each tendril of darkness seeking to snuff out the shimmering light they had ignited. She reached out, grasping the hands of her comrades and reinforcing their bond. Focus. She urged, feeling the heat of defiance in her soul. The love we hold is stronger than fear. The word swelled, merging into a crescendo that echoed through the darkness itself. For a moment, the shadows hesitated, swirling uncertainly as panic flared in their depths, but the leader sneered, the tension in the air crackling like static. Foolish children. This is merely a game. His dark figure bubbled and twisted, rallying the shadows to him. You cannot fight what you do not understand. With a formidable roar, the shadows surged forward, their icy fingers reaching for her throat. She ducked instinctively, adrenaline sharpening her senses, her mind raced, searching for a way to turn the tide. Despair gnawed at the edges of her determination as she scanned the landscape, heart clenching. Her mentor's face flickered one last time in her thoughts, igniting a flicker of resolve within her. If he believed in them, then this time they wouldn't fail. Do it for him. She shouted, the echo of her voice rallying her companions. They channeled their energy again, the warmth wrapping around them like armor, light shining amid the oppressive blackness. In that instant, they transformed. The shadows might be many, but they were a united front. A single flame against an army of the dead, but then, just as she felt a glimmer of hope, a sharp pain pierced through her chest, a searing flash flooded her senses. She gasped, clutching her heart, the betrayal striking harder than any physical blow. No. She wailed, the shadows curling closer as she stumbled back. Did you really think you could dazzle me with loyalty? The leader's voice thrummed with cruelty. Let me show you despair. Suddenly, she saw at a winding path, a doorway hidden in the chaos. It pulsed like a heartbeat, separate from the swirling black around them. Was it real? Could she reach it? Follow me. She yelled, determination surging anew. Without waiting for confirmation, she lunged forward, slicing through the darkness. The energy swirled around her like a cyclone, the warmth of her allies drawing closer, urging her on. Terror coiled in her stomach. What if it was a trap? And yet, her instincts screamed to trust the path ahead. She took a step, a leap of faith into uncertainty. Behind her, shadows clawed for her retreating form, howls filling the air like a mournful choir. She couldn't look back, not now. With her allies by her side, she pushed onward, heart racing, hope fighting against the encroaching despair. The choice lay before her, a deepening mystery. Would this path lead to salvation, or merely deeper into the heart of darkness? And in that moment of breathless uncertainty, she realized, she was about to cross the threshold between light and shadow, risking everything for a chance at freedom. Would they survive the reckoning, or would they become just another story swallowed by the void? As she burst through the doorway, a wave of blinding light enveloped her, pushing the shadows back with a furious hiss. The floor beneath her feet felt warm, pulsing with energy that resonated deep within her bones. It was a stark contrast to the cold dread that had been nipping at her heels. Her comrade stumbled in behind her, gasping, their eyes wide with disbelief as the darkness dissipated like smoke in the wind. Together, they stood in a vast chamber filled with shimmering light, but it was not a sanctuary. No, this place was alive, breathing, shifting. The walls, etched with symbols of ancient wisdom, flickered, revealing glimpses of a story long buried. "What is this place?" one of her friends stammered, nervously tapping his foot, his doubt creeping back despite their momentary triumph. "It feels powerful," another whispered, eyes darting around, absorbing every detail. The air hummed around them, filled with a vibrancy that tingled against their skin. But alongside that energy came an unsettling sensation, a reminder that they were not alone. The leader's laughter echoed again, now warped and amplified in the expansive space. "Did you think you could escape so easily?" His voice warped, distorted by the sacred place. "This is but the beginning of your torment." Fury bubbled within her. "We won't let you control us." She clenched her fists, drawing strength from that pulsing light that surrounded them. They had made it this far together, they would not back down now, but as they stood defiantly, a ripple tore through the chamber. Shadows erupted from the ground, morphing into twisted figures, each one a dark reflection of themselves. Their faces, trapped in expressions of anger and despair, haunted her. "Look!" one ally screamed, clutching his head. "There! Us!" Each dark figure taunted them, mimicking their movements, twisting their words. Her breath hitched. Were they battling remnants of their own fears? The shadows lunged, and she barely dove out of the way, narrowly missing a cold grip meant to drag her down into the depths of her own gloom. "Stay together!" she shouted, rallying her comrades with a fierce determination. "Remember what we stand for." They moved as one, light sparking between them, forming a barrier against the dark figures. The energy coursed through them, each pulse a reminder of hope, trust, and friendship. But she could feel doubt creeping in, gnawing at her resolve. She tore her gaze away from the shadows, her own shadow, and caught sight of another doorway, shimmering enticingly in the corner of her vision. It pulsed with the same honeyed glow as the chamber, whispering promises of safety. Yet, a voice in her mind warned her, what if it only leads deeper into darkness? "Focus!" she urged herself. They couldn't afford to separate. They had come too far. Her allies were fighting with all they had, but the shadowed versions of themselves were relentless. With a sudden intensity, the dark figures joined together, a collective force manifesting into something bigger, more dangerous. It loomed before them, a monstrous amalgamation of fear and regret. Her heart raced. Would they have enough light to vanquish this creation, or was it too late? In that moment, she felt a shift within herself, an unyielding determination, a willingness to face not only the shadows but her own. She stepped forward, even as the ground trembled beneath them. "We can't turn away anymore. We must confront it." But as she spoke, the ground quaked violently, and a deafening roar erupted, shaking the very foundation of the chamber. The pulse of darkness deepened, twisting and summoning forth a maelstrom of chaos. "What is happening?" someone cried out, clutching the wall for support. "Hold on." But would that be enough? The light flickered perilously, and the shadows closed in, pressing against their faith, testing their resolve. The battle for their very souls had just begun, with her spirit deepening the bond amongst them. Razors of fear shot through her. Would they truly stand strong against this monstrous reflection? What lay ahead was uncertain, but the truth hung in the air like an electric current waiting to be unleashed. Would they dare to cross yet another threshold? The chamber trembled, reverberating as the shadows grew in size and ferocity. Her heart raced, the pounding in her chest drowning out reason. The monstrous figure before them towered, a grotesque medley of every fear, every doubt they had ever harbored. It loomed closer, its eyes swirling fountains of wrath, pulling her comrades toward darkness with each breath it took. "Fight!" she shouted, though doubt clawed at her voice. "We have to believe in the light." The dark reflection snarled, morphing into a twisted image of her own face. "You think your light can save you?" it hissed. "You are nothing without fear." A chill ran down her spine. It was speaking truths, and she felt it snake around her as a suffocating band. But she wouldn't let the darkness win. Clenching her fists tighter, she forced the doubts back, drawing strength from the warmth of her companions around her. "Remember what we fought for," she urged, her own voice gaining strength. "Each other. Our dreams." Together, they surged outward, pooling their light, creating an aura that pulsed brightly against the shadows threatening to engulf them. The amalgamation recoiled momentarily, a shiver of discomfort running through its form. "Keep going," one of her friends cried, voice strained but steady. "We have to push it back." As they advanced, fragments of the twisted figure exploded into dark mist, reforming as smaller, more manageable shadows. They howled, the sound piercing the air, mirroring her comrades' own cries of despair. "No. Not again." A voice yelled as another ally faltered, face contorted in pain. He fell to the ground, clutching his head. The shadows were manifesting his worst memory, dragging him down into the depths of his past failures. "Get up!" she yelled fiercely, rushing to his side. "We need you. You're stronger than this." Each word felt like a lifeline, piercing through the haze of terror. The light around her flickered in sync with her emotions, she could feel the connection, the raw power binding them all together. Yet, another shadow lunged past her, its chill grazing her arm like icy fingers. "It's too much." Someone else shouted, tears streaking down their face. "They know us. They know everything." "No," she retorted, shaking herself free. "We're more than our fears." She focused on the other doorway, the one she'd seen earlier, glowing seductively. An idea sparked within her. What if there was something there, something they needed to confront? But doubt gnawed at her. What lay behind that door? Was it a way out or just another trap? The monstrous figure twisted in fury, sensing her indecision. "You cannot run. There's nowhere left to hide." It roared, shadows reaching out like claws, drawing closer. Then, in a blinding flash, a vision hit her. It wasn't just about confronting the shadows around them, it was about diving into the heart of their own fears. Could they harness the power within these dark reflections? "Listen to me," she shouted, voice raw yet filled with escalating resolve. "What if we use their strength against them? What if we turn our fears into our weapons?" But another part of her held back. Her heart raced. Was that even possible? Still, she could see determination flickering in her allies' eyes. "Together, we're stronger than the dark," she continued, hope surging through her like fire. "Let us show them who we truly are." With a nod, the group united, forming a protective circle. Each hand clasped tightly, they focused their energy towards the monstrous creation. Together, they charged forward, merging their light into a single blinding wave. The shadows shrieked, distorting and writhed as her allies took a collective breath, unleashing a surge of brilliance that illuminated every corner of the chamber. But even as the shadows began to falter, something in the air shifted again. The familiar laughter of their leader echoed ominously, making her heart pound. "You think you can escape me so easily? The real challenge has yet to begin." An icy dread washed over her as the maelstrom around them surged once more, blacker and more chaotic than before. What awaited them beyond this clash? Their darkest fears or the shattered pieces of the truth? Panic gripped her heart. They couldn't afford to fail now, not when victory was within grasp. Had they truly awakened something more terrible than they anticipated? Would they stand together against the echoing darkness? The moment had come, the audacious surge of light clashing with the chaotic waves of shadow. She felt it like an earthquake, a shifting balance. The cacophony of frayed souls reverberated through every fiber of her being as doubts and fears collided. She braced herself, this was it. Together. She yelled, her voice a rallying cry against the overwhelming dark. The pulse of unity flowed among her comrades, a stream of light weaving through the heavy air, shimmering like a beacon. With every heartbeat, they pushed against the billowing shadows, each flicker of doubt turning into strength. This wasn't just a fight for survival, it was a fight to reclaim everything lost, a fight for redemption. The beast before them screeched, a horde of ghostly faces staring back, the very essence of every regret, every sorrow they'd ever known. Don't give in. Someone shrieked, voice strained, yet filled with unyielding resolve. It wasn't just her battle, they were united, their light intertwining like vines in the sun, defying the blackened tide. Suddenly, a brilliant spark ignited in her chest, a fire fueled not only by defiance but by love, friendship, and the memories of every laugh that echoed in their shared history. We are the light. We are stronger than fear. With those words, she surged forward, an avenging flame taking form. Each motion sent bursts of radiant energy cascading through the chamber, flooding the darkness and illuminating their path. The shadows recoiled with an anguished shriek, their twisted features melting away into vapor like smoke. Her heart raced, already sensing the impending triumph, but the shadows, malignant and stubborn, regrouped. The leader's mocking laughter danced around her, loud and threatening. This struggle is pointless. Those shadows reflect your deepest fears, you shall never escape. He surged forward, a collected whirlwind, channeling the very essence of despair. No. We will not falter. She cried. A rush of pure determination pulsed through her veins as she focused her power, the flickering memories of joy and laughter shimmering within. They were resilient, standing on the precipice of light and shadow. Hand in hand, they faced the creature that threatened to tear them apart, and for a moment the darkness wavered as if questioning if the bonds they shared were indeed more powerful. Feel that? A voice whispered beside her. The doubts, they're nothing compared to what we've built together. Strengthened by this acknowledgement, they advanced, forming a dazzling arc of light radiating hope. She channeled every ounce of belief, every moment that had lifted them through darkness, and released it forward like an explosion of brilliance. Light erupted, chasing shadows to the corners of the chamber, casting aside the clutches of despair that had ensnared them for so long. The beast howled, shrieking with fury as its form began to dissolve, sucked into the expanse of light that surged ever stronger. You have not won. The leader's voice echoed, bitter and twisted, as the shadows ripped free and vanished into nothingness, and then it was quiet. The chamber pulsed softly, laden with a warmth that felt almost tangible. She blinked through the haze, gazing at the figures around her. Exhaustion painted their faces, but there was something more: hope. She had not only fought for herself, they had fought together, becoming a force unmatched. In that silence, amidst the echoes of laughter and forgotten fears, a calm settled over them. We did it, she breathed, awe spilling into her words. The shadows, previously overwhelming, had scattered, retreating into the depths of the forgotten. They were illuminated now, no longer shrouded by despair. But as clarity began to take hold, she remembered the threat lingering just beyond the periphery, the promise of the leader's return. The shadows still loomed, though weakened, waiting to rise again. We must stay vigilant, she urged, casting serious gazes around her allies. This isn't the end. We have more battles to face. Nods affirming her resolve rippled through the group. We'll stand guard, one declared. Together, we'll face whatever comes next. A moment of silence hung in the air, and in it, a realization sparked. Their story was no longer one shrouded in darkness. It was rebirth. With a shared collective breath, they made their way towards that shimmering doorway she had glimpsed before, the way forward. As they stepped through, the remnants of shadows cascaded behind them, no longer a burden, but a part of their story, serving as reminders of who they were and who they could become. As they emerged into a luminescent landscape, radiating the hues of dawn's soft oranges and warm golds, they basked in the glow of freedom. They had crossed a threshold, through trials and tribulations, and now stood in the light of their own making. Let us cherish this moment, she said, turning to her comrades. And celebrate the strength that lies within us. We are light now. We are unity. Let us mold our future on these foundations. In each heart, a flicker of hope brightened a fiercer flame born from their journey. Now, as the sun began to rise over their new world, casting away the remnants of night, she knew a larger fight awaited. But it was a fight they would face together, no longer defined by their darkness, but transformed by it, and with this new dawn, they stepped forward, ready to embrace whatever awaited them, hearts intertwined forever by their choice, by their light. Now it's time to be part of something bigger. You need to subscribe now. Don't let this incredible community slip away from you. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm's hunger. And flood the comments section with your thoughts, reactions, and wild theories about what just unfolded. Instantly share this story with at least 5 friends who need to see this epic conclusion. Don't wait even one more second. Let us keep this adventure rolling together.